And maybe we can turn the volume up here, and I'll show you here. I'll be talking a little bit about what the space station is inside. These are the sleep stations, for example.
You don't really have the sensation of lying down. You just sit in your sleeping bag. So here's one sleep station right here. I'm going in right now. You can follow me if you want. So I'm inside. It's sort of like a little phone booth, but it's pretty comfy. I've got a sleeping bag right here that we sleep in, so we don't have sort of like a little bit of a cover. We don't fly all over the place. But you know, you can sleep in any orientation. I have it sleeping, feeling like I'm standing up right now, but like you saw, I'm on the floor. But it doesn't matter if I turn over and I sleep upside down. I don't have any sensation in my head that tells me that I'm upside down, so it really doesn't matter. The sleep station is also like a little office. We've got a computer in here. As you can see, we've got a couple little toys. I've got some books. I've got some clothes and other things that make it
Just
sort of
inside,
like home.
but yes. There's 4 sleep stations in this part of the space station in the front and 2 in the back in the Russian part of the space station. Just demonstrating.
I know that there's some questions about how to use the bathroom and how do you actually live in space like normal, like at home. I mentioned real quickly about getting up in the morning and brushing your teeth and washing your face. Well, how do you do that? Well, here is the bathroom essentially. You get up in the morning and we have a little kit and it has all the essential things that you need, like your toothbrush and toothpaste and brush. See how much better the brush makes my hair look? A lot of people ask about toothbrush and toothpaste. So, luckily enough, toothpaste, you can do it upside right this way, it's sticky, and so it sticks to your toothbrush, no problem. Another cool thing is that water sticks to your toothbrush, too. You can see it. I'll have some water come out. Water is pretty neat up in space. It'll stick to your toothbrush and it will make a big bubble. And that's just by surface tension. And then you can drink it. So a lot of people ask about what do you do with the toothpaste after you brush your teeth. Two options. Swallow it, and it's sort of like mouthwash. But it tastes a little gross. Or you can just spit it out in a paper towel, and then you don't have to worry about it. One of the most pressing questions about living in space, of course, is the bathroom. So let's take a look at that little piece of work. Here we are at the throne. This is awesome. You might see the little, you might have noticed the little moon on the outside. This is our orbital outhouse right here. And of course, it serves for 2 functions. Number 2, right here. I'll show you. But you see it's pretty small, so you have to have pretty good aim, and you be ready to make sure things get let go the right direction. And it smells a little bit, so I'm closing it up. And that's of course for number 2. And this guy right here is for number 1. So there's sort of 2 slightly separate functions, but you can do a little, essentially both by hanging on right here and doing number 1 and number 2. I might add it's color-coded so you really don't get it mixed up, which is nice. This is yellows for number 1. And also there's a selection of paper. People always ask about toilet paper. What do you do with toilet paper? What kind of toilet paper do you have? We have gloves just because sometimes it does get messy. We have some Russian wipes, which are a little bit coarse if you like the coarse type of toilet paper. We have some nice tissues, which are nice and soft if you like soft toilet paper. We have Huggies, just for any cleanup. You know, we were all babies once, and this sort of helps. And then there's things we have disinfectant wipes just to make sure we clean up here. Because, you know, just like the water I showed you, the #1 stuff can sort of go all over the place if you don't aim correctly. And did I mention both of these have a little bit of suction, so they should keep things going in the right direction. But, like I said, sometimes things get a little out of control if you are out of control yourself flying around. So we have lots of protective stuff. And of course, you do have your privacy. Here's a little door. Here's a pretty cool place. This is sort of like in your house where everybody meets in the morning. After you wash your face, brush your teeth, you want to find something for breakfast. And this is our kitchen. You might notice there's all sorts of foods here. It's like opening the refrigerator. You got all your different stuff that you want to have. Drinks, meats, eggs, vegetables, cereals, bread, snacks, and that's a good place. That's where you find all the candy. Side dishes, and then some little power bars just in case. So we have all this type of food. Some of it is dehydrated, and so we have to hydrate it, fill it up with water. Some of it is already made, and then all we have to do is heat it up. So something like this, I'm pulling out barbecued beef brisket. Pretty yummy. Not only is this food made in the U.S., but we also have food here from Japan. We've got Russian food. As you can see, all these red containers are filled with food that's from Russia. And then we get some of our specialty stuff, some things that we like, some of our favorite stuff that your family can send up. In fact, I like fluffernutters, and so I got sent up some fluff so I could make my fluffernutter with peanut butter. So you have a lot of food up here, no problems.
So pretty close to the kitchen, just down the hall, past the exercise equipment, is this beautiful room called the cupola. And it's one big window with 6-sided windows all around it. And you can find yourself in the cupola all day, all night, just looking out at our planet because it's facing down. But you can also see the edge of the planet, which is really cool, just like this view right here. And like I said, you know, you're there for 10 minutes or so in the daytime, and you go, I'll get back to work as soon as it turns to nighttime. And then you start looking at the planet at night and seeing pictures like this. And then you find yourself being there for another 45 minutes, and you're like, oh my God, I have to get back to that timeline that I was talking about. And that timeline went by very fast. 4.5 months flew by. I mean, I didn't even realize it was almost over. And Kevin and his crew, Evgeny and Oleg, came up and sent us back through the hatch, which we came in the very beginning, and we got ready to undock. It was November of 2012, so a little bit over a year ago. You can see the undocking display in Russian there as our little spacecraft flew away from the space station and then landed in the pre-morning hours of out in the steppes of Kazakhstan. A little snowy. It was, I think, about -20 and a little windy when they pulled us out of the capsule. But the capsule's nice and warm. Remember, it's going through a lot of heating as it's coming back through the atmosphere. And so in our little spacesuits, we were nice and toasty, actually a little bit sweaty when we got out here. But they wrapped us up pretty much. You'll see Aki in a minute. He looks like a little baby in swaddling clothes in this all wrapped up. But it's pretty surreal experience if you think about it. We undocked from the space station. Within 4 hours, we're on Earth. Within 24 hours after undocking, after a helicopter ride to a plane and a plane back to Houston, we're back with our families in Houston, Texas, which is pretty incredible. And you sort of like pinch yourself, go, that was a dream. It was just a little vacation from Earth because it went by like a flick of a moment. A lot of people ask, do you get bored up in space? And I can't even imagine for a moment being bored. I mean, if you look at this room and imagine for a moment that this is in space, you've got, you know, 2/3 of the room that's unoccupied, that you could be flying around, shooting around and looking out the window. And it's just a wonderful place to live and work. And I think one of the amazing things is your body adapts to it. And before long, you sort of forget about what it's even like to walk, and floating from one place to another, flying from one place to another seems very natural. It seems very natural to just float by this chair, hook on with your toe, and do, you know, something with your 2 hands, rather than using even your hands to translate. You feel very comfortable. And I think part of that is being in good shape. One of the biggest criteria for the selection process for U.S. astronauts, and I'm sure it's very similar to with all the other agencies, is you're medically okay, and they do all sorts of tests on you to make sure that you're going to be okay, because we'll be up in space for about 6 months or so on a usual basis, and eventually it could be longer than that. We don't always have a doctor on board. Sometimes we do. We have actually a flight surgeon in the room right here who works with us out in Star City. We have flight surgeons who are usually around wherever the astronauts are at any time, and we do have a bunch of them in the astronaut office as well. But we don't always have the luxury of flying with them, so we are our own doctors, as well as plumbers and electricians and IT guys up in space.